Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are here with another episode of Texan Tailgate. I'm going to be joined by the lovely Quinn. I'm also going to be joined tonight by David Lee and Immutable. Fantastic seeing you all. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Doing well. How about you?
Doing
Very
great.
good, sir.
Yeah, everything's going good over here. I'm excited to be here with you all tonight. We got some fire in store, and we're going to be answering. We're going to be exploring the question of what the world may look like after Pulsechain launch, and we have some great insight and alpha coming into the chat room. So just to get us started up, man, I wanted to go ahead and just shout to Immutable. I mean, you want to do a whale watch this week? What you got in store for us?
Always willing to do a whale watch. Let's get it.
Let's do it. All right. Well, so we're gonna dive in. Let's take a look here. All right.
Yeah. So I know earlier today in the chat, someone was mentioning like they were. I think there was kind of a little bit of I don't know.
Trepidation.
Seemed a little hesitant, a little disappointed, or whatever. Even though we're still 2.5x up from initial liquidity, but so I went ahead and I took a look at like the past week's transactions, and I took the top. Really the top 10 largest transactions, whether they were stakes, sells, buys, liquidity provision, or anything like that. And so just wanted to go over a couple of them. So first off, wallet ending in DB0A, who also uses a number of other wallets to do various things, which I'll touch on here. Staked 1 billion TEXAN tokens earlier this week. So that's he's a top 50 or was a top 50 liquid wallet. Now is not a top 50 liquid wallet, but that's because he staked 1 billion, or he or she. And then, like I mentioned, he uses a number of other wallets. So 3389 Delta is used to purchase TEXAN, and then he usually sends it to this DB0A. And then he's also used another wallet to 3 times to basically purchase and then send to this wallet. But again, largest transaction this week was this guy staking 1 billion TEXAN tokens 5 days ago. So, and that's going to be kind of a theme here is like, so this guy in the chat came in, said he was a little hesitant, was a little concerned about the price. But if you look at all the, like the theme that you're going to see on all of these is that the top wallets, the wallets with the largest transactions, the largest amount of TEXAN are either positive or neutral. And we'll talk about that here. So wallet 4 double alpha 4 currently has 3.4 billion liquid, and has been continuously adding and removing liquidity since the beginning. And this is kind of something we talked about, I think maybe 2 weeks ago, when we were looking at V3 launching and then V4 launching, and talking about how liquidity providers kind of learned a little bit of a few lessons anyway from when ETH Proof of Work and ETH Fair or whatever they're called launched. And so you're going to see a lot of liquidity movement in and out. And so this is one of the things. But he's been adding and removing liquidity since the beginning. Hasn't been selling anything and has been consistently building his position. But one of the position this week, he removed 23K of USDC and 318 million TEXAN, and then collected an additional 1K USDC and 25 million TEXAN in rewards.
Wow.
But this has been something that he's been doing, or he or she again, sorry, he or she has been doing since the very beginning for a long time. And then another note on that is he also has a second wallet, DFOF or 0F, has another 101 million TEXAN that's just been sitting there since the beginning, 100 and however many days ago. So I would say this is a largely kind of neutral type of thing. He's just been adding and removing liquidity, hasn't been selling anything, has been continually adding to his position of TEXAN while also taking profit. So then after that, we're going to look at Alpha 7 or A7 C9. Sorry about the phonetics there. I know that's military coming through, and I know a lot of people don't like the military acronyms or jargon or whatever. So this wallet this past week staked 300 million and 250 million in two separate stakes. So it began purchasing TEXAN about 40 days ago on Uniswap V3, and then 2 days ago made those two stakes, and then also added liquidity to the Uniswap V3 USDC TEXAN 1% pair. So he added about 10K USDC and 180 million TEXAN, and that was something that he had done earlier as well. So again, another very large wallet staking a significant portion of TEXAN at 300 million and 250 million respectively. So let's see now. The next large transaction this week was from CFCA. Again, so these letters and numbers that I'm saying are the last four digits of these wallets. So started buying about 33 days ago, and then this past week sent all of it to another wallet, A87F, and his only history has been purchasing TEXAN via Uniswap V3. So then we come to one of the next ones, which is 7FB1. So he was airdropped approximately 3 billion TEXAN. Early on, he staked 1.5 billion TEXAN, and then he transferred a number of TEXAN to a number of different wallets. He was airdropped another 1 billion, swapped. About 30 days ago, he did swap 410 million for Hex, but he also at the same time staked 500 million TEXAN. He also sold 54 million TEXAN for USDC about 19 days ago, but after I looked at all of his various accounts, so he has one main wallet and then about 4 or 5 other wallets. And so the general trend that I've seen from all of his wallets is that he's coming in and out of TEXAN. So he's not just selling it off to make a profit, but and generally from those other wallets, he's been buying a significant more amount than selling. And then you look at it like the amount that he's staked way, 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 way more than he's sold. So all of these sells that he's had coming in and out of TEXAN have been much significantly smaller numbers.
Awesome.
And then one last one, and I know this was brought up in the chat probably about a week ago. So there was a wallet, 36E8, had been buying and selling TEXAN in and out, and so he did sell for about 168 million for Zen. So this is really the only top transaction this past week that was a true sell, and so he sold for Zen. But the point I want to make is, so out of all of these, so like the top 10 transactions this past week, all have been either staking or adding and removing liquidity, which is fairly neutral, and only one actually selling. So just want to, yeah.
Dude, great job pulling all that information together. I was trying to keep notes here, man. That's really good information for us.
Yeah, good stuff, Steve. Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. And actually, I'm gonna bring on our guest. We have Crypto Compassion here with us tonight, so I'll be bringing him in, and I want to get his take on his thoughts on what you've given us as far as the information, and we'll kind of get into the content from there. So, how's it going, brother?
Hey, y'all. Great to be back on here. Yeah.
Hey, man.
Man, it's great to see you. It's great to see you. So what's your take on all of that, man? Everything that was there. I don't know if you were able to hear it all in the green room, but
I think that I better do a good job of hiding my addresses from Immutable in the future.
Investigator, right?
Yeah, I know.
That's what I did in the Army, was a scout. So I went out and figured out what was going on out there.
No, I think that what it spells out, though, is there's a lot of people that are making some good moves in TEXAN, and that's very positive. I love the movement of what they represent, as far as the independence and becoming its own union. I love that. That's awesome. So, but but yeah, to speak to what you're doing, I have thought about ways that, you know, we are going to be looked upon as Pulsechain sacrificers and PulseX sacrificers, and we do need to protect things for sure. So, but yeah.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I couldn't agree more on that one, man. So what have you been getting into, crypto compassion? What you been doing this past couple of weeks? Yeah, you're not on the cruise?
No. I thought I was gonna do it, but I'm out here on the West Coast. East Coast, it's just like, you know, what is that, like a good 9-10 hour travel, and it gets, you know, I have family stuff to take care of. I'll do the cruise when it comes out to the West Coast. It's toward the I think it's December 1st. So that should be a fun one. But you know, I've been working and just doing my thing, and just I think like everybody in the community, we're all glued to our computers and I listen to earbuds all the time. So most of the time, I think Hexy, you're probably the same way. It's like most of the time, if I'm responding, there's a good chance I might be at work, and
Yeah.
I have the luxury of listening, like not 24/7, but I do have the you know, I can listen like 16 hours a day, and that's
Same.
you know, and it's a
do.
good thing. I mean, if we look at this as being part of our future, you know, like anything as far as being in your craft, you want to be good at it. Just like, you know, what Immutable is doing as far as like he's digging deep. You know, this is a good building block to build off. You know, if you get crypto right, you know, we can get a lot of things right, and it could expand into other areas as far as real estate or whatever your passion is, and that's important. So,
Man, I couldn't agree more, man. Well said. So we all came together today, and for the namesake of our show, we want to know what Pulsechain, what the world looks like after it launches. So I wanted to get you all's insight into this and get into it a little bit early. What are the implications after this beast is unleashed? So I would love to go around the room here and to just kind of like gather insights, thoughts. It could be premonitions, visions, if you will. So anything that you may want to share, and I'd love to start with our guest, Crypto Compassion. What do you think, my friend?
you hit the nail on the head as far as it being a beast. I mean, it's like, if I try to like zoom out and really kind of like, when I tell like family members or, you know, like my girlfriend, like what I'm involved in, and she's like, yeah, whatever. And like, yeah, like the monstrosity of the tidal wave that's coming. I really think that, you know, we always draw these correlations of like projects before, you know, Pulsechain, and we always think about, oh, Ethereum did this or that. Well, Ethereum didn't have 150 native projects. Ethereum didn't have 10,000, you know, forked projects. Ethereum didn't have a bunch of hexagons that know how to hold. You know, Ethereum didn't have an established marketing team like Pulsechain and Hex does. I mean, there's just all these crazy things, that components that come together. You're kind of like, this is very bullish. We're also looking at a situation where we finally kind of see the separation between legacy banking and crypto, where it's like the use case of maybe real estate, stocks, and the banking system is like quicksand. We see it especially with TEXAN, where it's like, hey, we want to separate from the union for all those reasons. And so there's a lot of like perfect storm situations coming to play here. And so I'm not really quite sure what to expect. I just believe that it's going to be really good for us. I know that much. Really, really good. And I think that when Richard Hart talks about those crazy loon birds owning half of everything, I think he's right. I think he really is right. And it's kind of a scary thought to think that we could all be so blessed in a position where we could be in a position where it's just not digital assets. It could be physical real estate type assets. And it's a heavy burden. And I really hope that everyone gets their house in order, and that you know, there's a lot of responsibility on everyone in the community to uphold that. So.
Yeah, man, that's well said, and I think that the last closing statement there is it rings true, especially for the thoughts that I've had in my own head. Like, a lot of folks dream of financial freedom, and they fixate on prosperity to the point
Mhm.
where it's all fever dreams and daydreams, but whenever it happens, what is the plan? And I think that at
Right.
this point in our journey together, I think that that's a great message to share amongst the community, is to make sure that all of the deck is in order in your favor, and that you are prepared to take on the responsibility that comes with success, or whatever that success may be to you. But man, well said. And I wanted to jump immediately from that. I wanted to go over to Hexy Quinn. What you thinking about Pulsechain after?
Pure mayhem.
Yes.
I'm just sorry.
Yes.
That's immediate, right? Because
Yeah.
after watching everybody when V3 launched was nuts. So,
Me too.
anyways, but I don't know. It depends on, we can look a year from launch, 5 years,
Mhm.
10 years, 15 years. Like, what does the world look like?
Yeah.
I would like to see some hexagons and pulsicans in Congress. I don't know. There's going to be mass adoption. I think adoption is going to happen faster than anybody really realizes. Just the faster, cheaper is going to, that's going to bring on the masses. So
Mhm.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. And I just hope, I know the Hexagon community is filled with a lot of like-minded people, and they want to change the world, change our country. I just hope greed doesn't get in the way, and that rings true. But nevertheless, it's gonna be interesting as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it certainly will. So there's actually another person in our green room I wanted to bring in too, and we can get their take also. We got the hexiest man in the world.
Yes, testing. Can you guys hear me?
Oh,
You're
Yeah.
late.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah, new house and first time being set up here, so sorry for
Sounds
being late,
great.
guys.
Hey, no worries,
Inaugural
man.
voyage.
You're
Very good.
Excellent.
You get a pass.
Thank you, Hexy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Hexius, I appreciate you joining in with us and everything, man. I know that you said you just got through moving and everything, so I appreciate you carving the time out for us.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah, and I don't know how long you were in the room or not, but if you were in here long enough, we were just talking about the world after Pulsechain launch, and I wanted to gather your insights and some of your thoughts as to what that may look like.
Okay, my gosh. I was actually just at NFT NYC last week with a few hexagons. Had a good time in New York, and we were all talking about this, right? And I've heard everything from, and then I'll give you my opinion. I've heard everything from like what Hexy was saying. I pretty much heard what she said, and that's all that I'd heard before. But she thinks it's going to be adoption a lot faster. I've heard people say that it's going to be a sleeper for the first 3 to 6 months. I think that I don't think that we haven't seen anything like it other than ETH POW or ETH proof of stake or sorry, ETH POW or the other one. But where there's been a stateful fork, and of course it was a Pulsechain idea prior to it being anyone else's idea, at least for doing it on ETH. And I think it's going to take a while I was at that conference and I asked every single booth that I saw, and there was only one booth that had known about Pulsechain, and it was oh gosh, it was Banks, not Bank X, is Banks, like which is an on-ramp based out of Australia. And they said, oh, is that, they said the only thing that they said, oh, is that the Hex chain? And I said, you could look at it that way, but it's the blockchain that Richard Hart, the founder of Hex, also founded. And testnet's been live for over a year now. And so and that's the NFT community, right? So that's certainly a different community. However, I think it's going to take a while for the message to send, but I think within the first year, we're going to see people realize that they have so many assets that they hadn't had before. So I think it's going to be big in our community. There's going to be lots of trading. There's going to be lots of people are going to be trading and having fun and, swapping tokens, and we're all going to be onboarding people, even though everyone in Ethereum, everyone that has tokens on Ethereum is onboarded, whether they know it or not. So many people have said like, well, gosh, how do I get in? I said, you're already in. Sure, you didn't get in on the sacrifice phase for Pulsechain or Pulsex, but you're going to have tokens that will have some value that you will be able to exchange for Hex, Pulsechain, Pulsex. However, if you want my best opinion, buy some Hex and stake it so that you have that on both chains. So long answer to a short question, but I think within the first year it's going to be big within our community. But then as we start to spread the word, I think we're going to see mind blowing.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? People are going to realize, oh my gosh, I don't need to deal with these ridiculous fees anymore. I can deal with a much faster chain. I can deal with the new community of people. I have assets here already, so I think it's going to be amazing in our community. And then the documentary launches, and I think the timing couldn't be better. You know what I mean? I was so hoping the documentary would be after the launch of Pulsechain, and it looks like that's where it's going to be.
Yeah, that's exciting too. That's like that's a whole other hype train that'll bring in a whole slew of people too. I mean,
Absolutely.
The proof of media, the proof of exposure is going to bring in an entire new group of people in the second and third and fourth wave. And everything that I've heard, which isn't much, but everything that you all probably are aware of and the people who are in the chat, like, I mean, that's hype behind that also. Like that documentary's been guarded in such an awesome way. But yeah, man, I think that everything you said rings true. Another thing that you were mentioning was like the NFTs on there. I've been trying to dip my toes in the sand of open mics within the NFT communities, and a lot of them aren't really necessarily intertwined with the hard ecosystems, but they'll be pleasantly surprised whenever this comes out. They've been collecting all of these for so long. And so that's kind of the message I've been trying to share within those sects of people. And directly from the Pulsechain website, this new gold rush contains the value discovery of thousands of tokens and NFTs on Pulsechain. If you always wanted to be a whale in a certain ERC20 or NFT, maybe now you can be. How bullish is that?
So true. Oh my gosh, man. It's so true. And one of the things I tell them too is I say, look, it's not going to be, they're like, so I get a copy of my NFT, and I'm like, no, you're not getting a copy. You're getting another original. You're getting another original because it's how it existed on the chain prior. It's just on a new chain. You know what I mean? It's like you have two originals that pop up. And the ARB opportunities that can be, I mean, it all depends on what they look like on the market. But yeah, it's going to be a gold rush, dude. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're going to have like all of these different groups. It's going to be like, do you remember, do you all ever watch like WCW or wrestling or anything like that? You remember when Sting went from red to white and white to red? You know what I'm saying? Like that's going to be E-Hex, P-Hex. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be like that. I have a feeling on that. We have someone else in the green room I want to bring in too. I wanted to bring in Robert. He was in our last stream, and he's also offers great insight. So I'm bringing him into the room. What's up, Robert?
Hey, Robert.
Hey, Robert.
What's happening, man?
Hello.
Hey.
Yo. And I didn't want to take anyone else's time away. I know that we hadn't got to David Lee and Immutable on your thoughts on Pulsechain in the new world. We'll just call it the new world now, like, because I feel like we're venturing into those planes. What are you all's
After you,
thoughts?
Captain.
You talking to me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah. So kind of along the lines of what we've already heard a little bit. So right now, obviously, Ethereum's the goat of layer one. So like everyone uses Ethereum. Anything worth anything's built on the Ethereum for the most part. I mean, you got these other chains that are good, but like for the most part, like everything is on Ethereum. So Pulsechain is taking that, plus, as we mentioned, the other 150 plus projects that are going to be launching on Pulsechain. It's going to be more decentralized. You're already seeing that. I don't even remember how many. I saw something today. It was like something on V4. We already have like 3,000, 4,000 validators or something like that. It's a non-OFAC, or at least ideally it's going to be a non-OFAC compliant. Has better tokenomics, and it really does have the potential to be a true shining city on the hill, I think is what Matt says all the time. But then you add in all of that, plus you add in the community that we've been talking about. It's like community in general has been super generous, super willing to help, always looking out for each other, at least for the most part. And so it's like a true opportunity to do a ton of good for the world. So, like, I mean, look no further than the Compassion Cartels. That's where I initially saw Matt. And so, I mean, you got, I think right now there's over 1,000 people in there that have all basically signed up to donate a portion of their Pulsechain to do good in the world, whatever that good may be. And so
awesome.
it's like these are the things that the real tangible things that Pulsechain can bring. And so I'm super excited about it.
Amazing, dude.
Yeah,
Amazing.
it's super cool. Yeah, I'm going to come at it from a little different perspective, just because in the Texan token community, we've got a lot of no coiners that are new or have very, very little experience. So when we talk about free copy and everything, to them, I mean, I was getting messages going, "Is that for real?" You know,
Yeah.
we've everyone here on this panel, we've been around for a little bit. We've watched this diamond being compressed and formed, and it has all these angles, and it has this depth when light hits it, and we see all these different things, and from 30,000 feet. But I was kind of curious now to throw a question back, because everything that you guys said is all true and it's wonderful, and we've been waiting, we can't wait, and we're going to get busy. Compassion Cartel and everything that goes into that. But Robert, I think this would be a great one for you. For these people that are new into digital assets, that literally before Texan they were no coiners. How would you explain to them the enormous paradigm shift that Pulsechain is going to be, and how it changes literally everything that they do, right? Staking ladders here look completely different on the Pulsechain side. So, yeah, you're the man, Robert. Let it rip.
David. So Pulsechain, what that means to me is that it's going to be one of the lowest barriers to entry for most people that are typically priced out Ethereum. I do check Ethereum gas tracker on a daily basis, and I'm trying to find the best times to transact on, and it just seems like gas is expensive no matter what you want to do. Transactions are around $10 to $20. And then depending on what else you want to do, if you're trying to swap tokens, build a staking ladder, it's becoming just very difficult to do. So Pulsechain is great to bring no coiners into, because it, especially if you're brand new to crypto and you're not familiar with how these things work, it basically gives people a great first impression, great experience up front. Honestly, if I was brand new to crypto and you were to put me on Ethereum as it is right now, I would be like, no, this is not working for me. But the thing is, when you also take a look back at Ethereum, I believe, didn't Ethereum come out in 2014? Was that correct me if I'm wrong, but they did not have the amount of projects ready to launch on their layer one. They didn't start to take off until time, went on. So with Pulsechain, you look at the community, you look at all the people that are building, supporting, trying to make things more simple, more seamless. Everybody is just, creating bridges, for people to go back and forth, which is really amazing. And, everything is, proven and verifiable on chain. Like, we take a look at the Pulsechain sacrifice, the PulseX sacrifice, and we know who Richard Hart is. Hex did a 10,000X. Richard is proven, and, everything is on chain and verifiable. So this really is the best time for no coiners to get into crypto, and Pulsechain is the perfect place for them to be. I am curious as to how long it would take Ethereum congestion in the network to go down after Pulsechain is released, which I do hope that does happen. But I also hope that they implement measures on the Ethereum side to handle that volume and not just sit back and wait on Richard to, basically fix the problem. So I just, as long as we keep building and keep trying to be the greatest versions of ourselves, and we always keep the door open to help one another, we're all going to win at the end of the day, which is where we want to be.
Big facts. That's awesome, man. We had a little bit of an audio anomalies going on, so I kind of muted everybody out there. I didn't mean to be rude. Sorry about that. But yeah, man, I think that everything that you all have said has rang true, and I feel it deeply on those levels. Just wanted to take a time real quick just to shout out to the chat, everyone who's made it in here. I am success.b. Thank you for being here. You were first up in the stream. Came here for Hexy Quinn. Stayed for the alpha, baby. All right,
Yeah.
let's see here. We got here Sam
I don't
Kemp.
think you stayed, but that's okay.
Banana and Rothschild. Look at this.
Yo. There's all sorts of folks in here. Sam Kemp, good
Yeah.
to see you, my friends. Godfather J6, thank you for always showing up, supporting. Hexy Quinn, you showed up in 2 places at once. You're transcending time and space. Crypto Compassion, same with you. Superheroes. My online ghost. Hello. Ari, you are on every single stream, and I tip my make-believe hat to you in that regard. Thank you very much for showing your support and doing everything that you do. Rich Liberation, always showing support. Thank you. KD, shout outs in the chat. Thank you for holding it down. Just everybody who's here, thank you for being here with us and hanging out. Crypto Heartbeats up in the chat.
Yes,
Long
sir.
time. Yo,
CHB.
Captain. Awesome to have him. I appreciate him being in there. And yeah, just everybody, I think, thanks to everyone for being here on the Texan Tailgate and just chatting it up and chopping it up with us. I wanted to get into a little bit of one of the original goals for me in this project was to make an entry point for those who may not be as in tune with DeFi or cryptocurrency in general. So I wanted to kind of like echo back to some of the things that were said, and just maybe we can provide clarity for newbies, and whoever wants to take these, feel free to just jump in. But the first thing I wanted to ask about are validators. What is a validator? What is the purpose of the validators? And what benefits may the validators acquire by becoming one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, I'll jump in real quick and I'll say that the validators are, first of all, huge opportunity for people that, especially those that sacrificed. And even if you didn't sacrifice and you want to become a validator, the amount that you would need to purchase, well, I mean, actually, it might be more than one might think, but still, it's doable. But the validators are those that maintain the consensus layer for the blockchain, and so, because it's proof of stake, they're essentially always validating that, essentially everything is accurate on the blockchain to keep it simple. And on pulsechain.com, you can actually find the information that you need to become a validator. And it's a very easy walkthrough process. I mean, it literally walks you through as good as any Apple device that I've ever had in terms of just instructional, like very intuitive. It teaches you how to do it. And the benefits they might receive for doing it, I mean, in exchange for validating transactions, you are able to earn Pulsechain or earn the token Pulse. And that's huge. I mean, imagine if you were an ETH validator or an ETH miner or a Bitcoin miner early on. What would life look like,
Yeah, I mean, and you just kind of like stretch that out across that timeline. I mean, and we compound that timeline. You're talking about like just for doing a due diligence and good by the community for the community.
Yeah. So
exactly.
You get paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so on that, like to echo that, so I think I saw today, David Feeder, I know his shop, he posted like a shop where you can basically purchase like a everything all included validator box, whatever. I think it comes with an iPad or something like that as the interface. But basically you order this and it comes like everything. You just hook up the Ethernet cord, and you follow the directions like you were mentioning there. I think on the testnet right now, it's like something like 35% APR, which is you take outside of crypto, you're not getting 35% APR
No
anywhere.
way.
In anything.
No.
Yeah, I mean that's wild times. Now, another one that I wanted to touch on too, and I think that we got the panel to do this, is I wanted to kind of like hear you all's take on bridging and how you may explain that to folks, as into what that means to getting assets from one to another. Just the whole thought process. If you could simplify it in terms that anyone could understand.
Hey, Forrest, I want to run back the validators real quick.
Please.
I want to speak to the importance of the decentralized aspect for the chain in regards to the ever-changing world that we're facing, as far as whether it be governments or what have you. It's really important that we have these validators spread throughout the world to support the chain. You know what I mean? It's very important. Not to be just centralized in the United States. We see that a lot of people are experiencing different windfalls in the U.S. And so it's, obviously we see a message coming from TEXAN that's speaking loud and clear to that, So I just wanted to run that back, that validating aspect as far as that component. So,
And just so I rephrase this, so to make sure that I understand correctly, so you're the benefit of having validators across seas, across oceans, is to further solidify the decentralization of the chain. Is that correct?
Yeah, you don't want a single point of failure, do you?
Right.
If someone thinks that they don't like your message, when we speak about freedom of speech and freedom of movement, we see that a lot of people are getting silenced, and if they just have to call up Amazon and say, shut them down, that's a single point of failure. And so when we talk about being decentralized, it's very important that we're spread out, that we're for the people, of the people, so.
Great point.
100%. I think is it on BNB that there's like under 50 validators, or like there's under 50, or a BSC, sorry, there's under 50 validators on there. And like, I think I was saying like already over 3,500 or almost 4,000 or 5,000 validators on here. And so, and like you were mentioning, all over the world. So it's not just like, all right, the US government comes in or whatever, China comes in and says, all right, we're going to shut it off. Well, no, you're not going to shut it off, because they can't reach out and touch the people in Africa and Europe and South America, in wherever. So that's huge.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And thank you for going back to that, because that is something that is important for everyone to be aware of and know. So I wanted to kind of like ask again about the bridges. I mean, and I ask about this selfishly a little bit, because like sometimes I think I know what's going on, and sometimes I don't know anything. So interoperability on bridging, it's the terminology that's used on the web space. ETH on Pulsechain. So this is my knowledge of it so far, is like once it crosses over the bridge, it becomes one or the other, E or P with the ticker, right? So outside of the lettering of it, that is the copy, right? So could someone give me a more articulated explanation as to bridging and its purpose?
Sure, I'll start, and then you guys feel free to jump in here. So just getting the terms straight. So copies, typically in our community, what we're talking about when we're talking about copies is we're getting all our ERC20s as PRC20s, which are our copies onto the Pulsechain. So I'm going to use different terminology for copies versus wrapped tokens. So basically, like let's say we have all these assets on the Ethereum chain, and you want to bridge them over to Pulsechain, because on Pulsechain, the gas fees are so much cheaper. The transactions are so much cheaper. It's more decentralized, whatever. We want to transact on Pulsechain just because it's better. So a bridge basically takes these two networks that are running parallel or whatever. They're not they don't really talk to each other. The bridge is just something that basically connects them. And so in simple terms, you're basically taking these assets, you're moving them over. And so when they come over, they become what we call wrapped assets. So there'll be like a little W, like usually you'll see a little W in front of it. And so actually, Robert was talking before about Ethereum when it launched. And so one of the reasons that Ethereum was launched is because so Bitcoin initially it was basically simply marketed as money, but there wasn't anything that you could really do with it. There's no dApps. There's nothing you can build on Bitcoin. I mean, like we're a decade in or 20 or 12 years, 13 years into Bitcoin, and like the use cases, nothing on there. And so Ethereum was built so you could start doing that. And so one of the biggest tokens you see on Ethereum is wrapped Bitcoin. So like people will take their Bitcoin, bridge it over to Ethereum so they can actually use it, so they can actually, take loans out against it on whatever, or do whatever with it. And basically, getting back to the point you asked about bridging. So bridging, you're basically taking one asset from one chain, moving it over to the other chain, and then transacting with it there.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
theoretically, you could theoretically have. Obviously, you'll have your. Okay, let's look at an asset that already exists. Let's say it's Link, right? Let's say it's Chainlink, for example, and that's already on it. Let's say, well, actually, yeah. Let's say, let me think of a better. Okay, SHIB, right? Let's think of SHIB, right? So you're going to have essentially eSHIB and pSHIB, right? You're going to have the SHIB on Ethereum and then SHIB on Pulse. And then, yeah, someone essentially has to have the assets on both sides, but they basically, like he was mentioning, you take it and you lock it up on that side of the chain so that it doesn't mess up with their supply. It's kind of set aside and then it's locked and wrapped, kind of in a container and then transacted there. So you could have pSHIB, you could have eSHIB, and then you could also have wrapped SHIB. Does that make sense? Like you have the SHIB that was the copy, eSHIB being the copy. So you could have Pulsechain, Shiba Inu that started on Pulse. You could have the Ethereum Shiba Inu that was already on Ethereum. Then you could have someone actually bridge some over and wrap it and have that be on Pulse. So it's kind of like three different things. I don't mean to complicate things, but I just wanted to make that distinction.
No, that's good. I mean, and it totally makes sense. So there's the three technical pieces that you can play with, quote unquote, and interact with in various different ways. But one needs to exist on one side versus the other in order to interact with that chain.
Yep.
Okay. Very good. And I appreciate you guys taking the time to do that because like ultimately like I want us to have this kind of content for the onboarding folks. I mean, I think that this is a valuable information. These are the questions that I had. And if it wasn't for Rags and if it wasn't for Crypto Heartbeat and it wasn't for my peers and all of you also intertwined with this, I wouldn't know. So like I think that this is really good information and I thank you all for dumbing it down to maybe that isn't the right terms, but bringing it to a level of understanding for all of us.
Well, absolutely. And let me just interject one thing. Forget that I said SHIB. I'm saying TEXAN because TEXAN was launched on Ethereum. So TEXAN is a token that I should have used in that example.
No, it's perfect, man.
For some reason, I keep thinking Pulsechain because the original plan was just Pulsechain, but the devs were so phenomenal that it was ready far before Pulsechain was ready. So thanks everyone that holds TEXAN should be very grateful because you got it on two chains now.
Got it on two chains and it's big, man. And another thing that I wanted to kind of to spearhead and address, I see people who are so like we're all phenomenally excited for Pulsechain launch. Like, I mean, that's the consensus in the room. I would imagine that all of us would put a fist up in the air and yeah, let's go. But you see people interacting with their assets in a manner that they are I wouldn't call it lettuce hands, but I would say that they are letting things slip them and they are getting rid of them hastily. I don't know what the right term is, but they're getting rid of it in I don't know why. Do you all have any insight as to, is this something that you've experienced in prior in bears and beginnings of bulls, the market? And is this something that you all see as just well games and plays from larger wallets, or do you all see this across the board? What are the implications, and what should people? Not that we're giving them advice, but like what is the ideal thing is for us to hold on to dear life, right?
Human nature.
Unless you're a trader, then you're going to trade.
So is that a TRAITOR or TRADER?
You know, it's no.
No.
I'll let someone else take it, but I'm happy to chime in on it. So,
Are you talking specifically Hex? Is that what you're thinking, or just in general?
Or
I would say DeFi within
DeFi?
our ecosystems. Yeah. I mean, you could use any of those as the example. You don't have to use necessarily just one, but as a whole, just looking at it from a topographic standpoint, top down.
Yeah.
Like, why do we see sell-offs and people jumping ship in moments nearing what seems to be something that is that we're all hyped about?
Right. I'd probably say that, you know, if we're seeing some sell-offs, I'll say specifically like Hex, I think that if there are people that have staking ladders and staked Hex, you know, they're not going to like, you know, early in stake it necessarily. But if they have a decent amount of Hex that's liquid, that maybe they're thinking there might be a larger dump on the east side. So they're trying to exit the door first, and they want to speak back to that bridging. They're thinking, I'm going to get into an asset, bridge it back into Pulsechain, and I'm going to try to acquire the new shiny object, whether that be Pulsechain or PulseX, but I'm not going to touch my stakes. And so I kind of think that might be what their thought process is on that, you know, aspect. And you have to remember that some of these people in Hex that have been around, maybe they had a nice staking ladder, but when Pulsechain came around, maybe they didn't have the opportunity to put in a large amount into the Pulsechain sacrifice. Maybe they only had like $2 or $3 or $10,000 coming out every month, and they had bills that hadn't been, you know, they might have been Hexicans that were retired, but they didn't have like, you know, maybe a 50,000 or 60,000, you know, big old whop. And they're kind of thinking, hey, I had some stakes come out along the process throughout these last 2 years. They're kind of like, I didn't restake it. It was liquid. And I was kind of anticipating the opportunity to get into Pulsechain. So that's kind of my thought on that, you know, aspect. And I also think we have a lot of people just kind of coming out of this bear market, you know, shiny object. You know, a good bottom signal right now would be, we see a frog, you know, that's been hopping around within the ecosystem of crypto. And if I were Richard looking at that, I'd say, I think the time is now when we see like a Pepe meme. You know, I don't think that's product market fit, to each their own, but nevertheless, you know, I think it's a good indicator of, hey, it's probably time to launch.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
yeah, and I would just add, I would just say that, you know, having been in crypto since 2013, in thinking I was a genius selling my Bitcoin on a 3x or a 5x, you know, I mean, it's just, selling is just something you're going to see in crypto. And I think, yeah, you've got people that have their stakes that they're coming out. And also you have people that, you know, just trading is a part of it. And so I still think there's that bear market sentiment. I think that we are, like, all of us in this room, those of us that are Hexicans, which is all of us. I mean, we know, like, we've got the golden word from the man himself. Like, he's taught us how to do crypto properly. And so while we can deal with the ups and downs, you know, it's like in crypto in general, which even a lot of Hexicans, I mean, it's still so easy for some, you know, that, I mean, keep in mind, there's a lot of Hexicans that aren't like part of the streaming community or don't have time to just tune in and listen to stuff. They just got in on the asset, maybe from one of us onboarding them. Right. And so they're holders, but they're not Hexicans. They haven't taken the time to really educate themselves. And you see a lot of people that just sell whenever they think things get scary. I mean, on Friday, you know, it's like things started to dip, you know, people are, and across all assets are like, okay, you know, all right, time to sell. People panic. And I think we're just so battle tested at this point, you know, and I think this next bull run will really make us battle tested. That you know, we just know better, but ups and downs are part of it, you know.
Yeah, and I think that that's a really good message, and I think that's a message that for a lot of folks who are the no coiners who are turned to having assets in an account. Yeah, I'm a fan of the interaction points that we're seeing. I think that the play that's happening, that the ups and downs, and where they're trying to find home across the different assets, especially like with TEXAN. I think this is a great testing and battleground. And I think that whenever Pulsechain launches, I know that we're here for the stream, and like what is life like after Pulsechain, and going back to that, I think that we see these altcoins and we see these DeFi projects really shine once that new environment is opened up for them to thrive. Very similar to I've used this analogy in the past, but similar to whenever people burn ground in order for new growth to rise. I totally see that being a scenario that we see these, where we may be at a dip now on this Ethereum, what we're used to. Whenever it comes back to life and is reborn on this new environment and this new playground, we get to see it really come to fruition. What are you all's thoughts on that? Like, do you disagree, agree?
You know, I think what we may be seeing somewhat too is broader based and macros, with everything going, like Hexius Man said on Friday, nothing looked good on Friday. And there's that old saying, go away in May, you know, silent, you know. So there's there's that. And if you've been watching any of these congressional hearings and stuff, there's been a lot of revelations, and truth is coming out. And when people aren't being driven by a narrative of fear, but they are being driven by truth, where there's real value, they start making better decisions. And yeah, this may be a broader thing that's short term, or you know, but it would be nice to see the Pulsechain launch turn everything around. And
Yeah,
I think
no doubt.
potentially, yeah, that kind of power is pent up, built up, ready to explode. But I gotta remind me to ask Hexius Man another question before we leave.
Go for it.
I'm open for it, dude.
No, I don't want to get off the topic.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone else have any thoughts on that?
Can you hear me clearly now?
Yeah, man, you sound crispy clear.
Okay. So when it comes to a lot of the selling and a lot of the people jumping around from token to token, I really think a lot of people are just trying to find their niche. They're trying to find what the best Pulsechain strategy might be for them. And I've ultimately come to find out that the best thing to do is just don't sell anything. Hold on to everything that you got. Just keep accumulating. As far as the bridge goes, it's going to be very necessary post-bridge, especially with people bridging in their ERC20s, especially stable coins, to pair to the Pulsechain copies to add value. And I personally am going to stay away from ratio trading just to be on the safe side. But I know there's a lot of people that, you know, might try to take a stab at that. But I think now really is the best time to just load up and hold on to what you got.
Beautiful. I echo that. We got Sandy Beach in the chat. What's going on, Sandy Beach? I'm just gonna go
and Briz.
Yo, we do.
Rothschild.
We got all sorts of thoughts, child, man. Thank you for being here, man. I've been trying to, so I need to get Thothschild on here, man. I love that energy. I love that energy that he brings. Oh my goodness, it's awesome.
Remember, you asked for it. Forrest.
Hey,
Remember
That's
you
true,
at.
right? Hey,
Yeah.
I
Let's
just
go.
hey, thoughts. I appreciate the Gangstar Guru and Premier shout out, or the little note you had above. That was excellent, bro.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I get so sidetracked whenever I'm listening to you all talk, and then I get time displacement. But Sandy Beach wanted to say hello to you. We got Hex Fetty, Cabana Crypto. It says he knows
Cabana.
exactly what I'm talking about with Sting. Thank you for making me feel
Awesome.
validated, bro.
Nerd.
No, come on.
I watch wrestling.
Hey, I had
so-
the mega. Do you know what a Titantron is, Hexaquin?
A what?
A Titantron? Whenever like the wrestlers and the fighters come out and there's a big screen behind them?
Yeah, like a
I got-
jumbotron.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
The Jumbotron.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, all right, I'm gonna show you all how nerdy I am. This is off topic for sure.
Good.
But so I was a 11-year-old homeschool kid with like no friends, and I had all of my action figures, bro. And I had the Jumbotron, and they had these little magnetic things on their feet. You could bring Sting out to the Jumbotron, put his foot on it, and it played his theme music.
What?
And I
Oh,
was
man.
like, yo. So I'd put on like these whole events and everything. Anyways, that's besides the point. That's just an aside I felt like sharing because, golly, wrestling used to be real to me. I know now better. But
I mean, they
but,
still get really hurt.
yeah, and I got to see Ric Flair's butt like in real life at a fight. So we go, and this man, they go for one of those moves where he's like standing over top of him, flexing his muscles, looking all big and bad, and the guy goes to turn him and shanks him, like pantsers him in front of everybody in the audience. And I gotta say, man, come on, Pulsechain. I gotta round that one back around. I don't know where that one's going off to. Oh my god!
Great segue.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, thoughts, job, man. We got it. I wanted to see this quote. We won't bow and scrape, but we'll be sure to take a bow after we scrape. Flexing on that one. I love that. Yo. So, everyone who's on the Hex Cruise who's taking the time to come in here, I wanted to say shout outs to you for taking the time to jump in. I know that Drix is enjoying an evening, and I hope to have him on the stream at some point too. He's been a huge supporter of everything that we've been.
Yeah, they're on the cruise right now.
I think I want to say so. I
man.
I don't have 100% confirmation on that, but man. I mean, I wish I was doing a cannonball right now into shark infested waters. That's what I want to say.
Yeah, I was supposed to go on that, but after being in NY and then I had too much stuff going on. But that's
tell me about New York. Tell me about like highlights.
Oh man, well, highlights. I'd say. I mean, the number one highlight was that no one there had heard of Pulsechain, and I that is such great news to me. You know what I mean? If I went there and I asked everyone, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I got in on the sack," I'd be like, "Ooh," you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm glad that there's a lot more people to get. Well, I would have been extremely happy, of course, but I'm just saying it's because I would have been able to talk to everyone about it. But man, when you get with Hexkins in real life, it's I mean, John Boy can speak to this. Hexy couldn't speak to this. Like we've all kicked it in real life multiple times, and it's just it's magic. Like you know what I mean? I mean, let's see. Corey, an investor. I mean, I didn't get to see Marco and Freddie the night they were out, but I've been able to hang out with both of them on multiple occasions in the past. But I mean, Corey, an investor, took us out to, on a beautiful night in Dumbo, like the downtown. I think it stands for Downtown Under Manhattan Bridge Overpass is what Dumbo stands for. But it's a cool area there. He took us out, showed us around. Let's see. I mean, oh my gosh, why can't Pulsechain Westcott? I got to meet Westcott Crypto.
Nice, cool.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that was awesome. So, but just the connecting with Hexkins in real life, man, is just it's you're realizing that these are friends. These are friends that you're going to have for the rest of your life, and that you're going to be doing so many things with. And so that's just so fun. And it's been like that for the last 2 years since I've been in the community. I mean, Hexy was one of the first ones I met. Just being in the same local area. And
you are the first one I met.
Yeah. We were at the same meetup the Hexray Vision threw, and with the Crypto Sparbook guys. So I mean, aside from that, I mean, it was all NFT stuff, and I went down a deep NFT rabbit hole, you know, kind of before I got into Hex, like right before Hex, and so there was a lot of stuff that I connected with on a just on a geek level that I thought was cool, but at the same time, I saw that there's some cool projects that are in the making. There's a lot that just don't have that whole idea yet of how to really use NFT in the right way. But I got to meet BitBoy. I got to take a few pictures with BitBoy. He followed me, which was cool. I know, right out of like 130,035 people, I got one of them.
Nice.
And but yeah, so I mean, you know, it was just a cool experience overall. You know, I was with X-Ray Vision and you know, got to meet up with the rest of the New York crew. Unfortunately, Corey Meatballs wasn't able to make it out because he's Long Island. But you know, it was man, it was a great time. Like I said, anytime you get together with Hexicans, man, it's nothing but a blast. You know what I mean? It's
lots of love.
Lots of love.
That builds up so much excitement for me. I cannot wait. Like, I mean, that is like the number one thing that I am most excited for. And I think that maybe this can connect it back into what is the world after Pulsechain. Would it be fair to say that we would increase our love and community and increase our freedom and sovereignty all in the same fell swoop because of someone's vision for a vertically aligned ecosystem, because of someone who had promoted and allowed the platform for all of the things that we hold and that we hold dear to shine? Do you see that? Do you see us coming even more together, and maybe this being a great awakening in a way of the human compassion for one another in terms of where the financial barrier between us doesn't necessarily exist anymore, but where we can focus on building a future?
That was well said.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I think that we in this community, not to get super, you know, weird out there, but I think we've been chosen for a time such as this. And it doesn't mean that it's all going to be, you know, everything's going to, you know, I think we're chosen to go into hard, difficult times too, to take on difficult challenges. And yeah, we might have a lot of good things going for us in our own personal life, but it doesn't mean we don't get into the trenches and fight the good fight. But I think that, like, you know, Don Hexius Man was talking about, when we meet up with Hexicans, it's almost like this feeling of a family coming together. It's like almost like our DNA has been like connected in a weird way. And like in prior to us meeting, it's just like this synchronicity of us coming together, like you spoke to, as far as family coming together. And I think it's just because we got some big challenges to take on together, you know? So
I think just to add to that, I mean, just to convey like how serious I'm meaning this when I say, when I get together with Hexicans, it's like family. I mean, I've laughed with Hexicans, cried with Hexicans, like literally, I mean, you know, actual tears. Like, I mean, such deep relationships that are built. And I'm in recovery, right? Like I don't drink. I go to AA meetings, you know, and I can go to one anywhere in the world. And I mean, I've gone to one in Germany, you know, I've gone to one in China, and it's like, I go in and I instantly feel brotherhood or sisterhood instantly, you know, within seconds, because you already know something about each other. No joke, I feel the exact same way about Hexicans with my experiences thus far over the last 2 years. And that's me saying a lot, because you know what I mean? It's I mean, when you share something like that, I guess traumatic or that life-changing with people, but it really is, it's that life-changing with people. You know what I mean? It's on the Hexican side. So as far as it being a you know, like one man's vision for a vertically aligned ecosystem, the way you said it was beautiful, man. It was so well put. But I think our freedom and sovereignty, I mean, there's going to be so many things that change. I mean, again, like everybody here, you know, I mean, assuming everyone got in on the sacrifice phase, like everyone that got in or that's going to be in early, if you didn't get in, you can still get in when it launches, and maybe even get better rates than those of us that sacrificed it, assuming we ever get tokens. I don't expect anything from the work of others. However, you know, it's going to be life-changing. You know what I mean? I mean, 10,000x on $100 is $1 million, guys. You know what I mean? And so it's going to be life-changing for everyone in here. And so but the money out of it, like I said, take the money out of it, and it's new brothers and sisters. And Hexy was saying it early when I joined the stream, was just that, you know, we have a very similar mindset. And it's like, even though we've got people from all walks of life, you know, and it's just we tend to share something that is hard to put your finger on exactly what it is, you know.
You know, I think there's a lot to be said for Richard.
Absolutely.
While he's not a believer yet, I believe he's been to kind of go along with John where he was coming from. I think he's been an instrument, and yeah, I think there is a coming together, a provisioning of people that have been through trials and tribulations, and their hearts in the right place. Because you think about it, right? A 10,000x, right? That's not real. That's like, right? That's like divine, right? That's like exponential blessings.
Yes.
You know, so that's really what I think is coming. And John Boy,
Yeah.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, no, and to speak to, you know, the world after Pulsechain launched, you know, I know that David, you spoke about, I was kind of meditating on it today a little bit about, you know, remembering the Compassion Cartel, you know, kind of the Pulse Promise, and now it's like a collective that Matt, you know, Crypto Heartbeat kind of put together. There was a seed planted within him to bring everyone together, and as 1,000 people all kind of, you know, individually putting out 1 million Pulse and I guess Pulse X, you know, you think about that collective of at a 10,000x, $1 billion as a group of economic energy to change the world. You know, I was even thinking today, you know, hey, do we talk with Matt again about setting up a validator for the Pulse Promise and how we could. I just did the quick math. That's at a 10,000x. That's, you know, $310,000 a month spitting off a validator at 10%. That's some good money to throw around and just have fun with and make, you know, difference and impact. So, and that's just not. We're not just talking about personal gains anymore. We're, you know, it's kind of like what even Richard said. You know, people are the end game. You know, it's not just mad gains. It's people, and yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, from that question Matt asked Richard, yeah.
Yeah,
It's the
exactly.
people.
Yeah.
Guys, I just wanted to say thank you. Go ahead, brother.
Oh no, sorry. When you said, David, when you said Richard, did you say Richard wasn't a believer? And when you said that, what were you referring to?
I've heard that he's not a believer. He's not a believer in Christ. He's kind of agnostic or something. And I that's why I put the yet in.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree with you.
Yeah,
he will be.
Yeah,
he will be.
I believe it.
Yeah, oftentimes we're selected and chosen for purposes that are beyond our comprehension at the time that we are selected and chosen for them. I think that all of us have had moments if we harken back and like look at where we've come from. Like, you know, it isn't the broken bones and stolen thrones that define us. It's how we get up and move from those locations. And I think that all of the arrows and spears that have been taken in the building of the infrastructure that we all play in, I think that is a testament to the fortitude and the refining of a person's character. And I think that we see that in the new branding. I think that we see that in the new messages that are coming across. It isn't necessarily so boisterous. It is more from a humble location and a humble place. And I think that that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing in a leader. And I think that that's a good thing that we all are a part of. And that's one of the large attractions for me, and with what Rags and Crypto Heartbeat do with TEXAN and everything within the freedom infrastructure on the Ethereum side and what they have planned for the future. I think that these are humble leaders and people that are easy to look up to because they are in it for everybody, and I think that we are as well. And that hive mentality and that horde mentality and community really, and amplifying our beliefs on top of one another, I think it will really shine in this new world that we're embarking on.
Unlocking global generosity.
I love that.
Across the board, man. And I know that we've been here for about an hour and 10 minutes, everybody. I wanted to give everyone a moment just to like to
Oh, I had a
leave
question for
us.
Hectic Man.
Please, yeah, go for it, David.
When I go to places like you did at NYC, I have some questions and I try to ask them to as many people as I can to, you know, get a feel. Were there any other questions that you asked, like the Pulsechain question?
You mean to like to the as far as the ecosystem?
Yeah, as you went around asking people questions, like, you know, if they've heard of Pulsechain, was there another question like that you used a lot on that weekend?
Well, I mean, I certainly asked them if they'd heard of Hex. You know what I mean? And believe it or not, there were a lot that hadn't even heard about Hex, which that blows my mind. Like, and that still blows my mind like crazy. I mean, however, a lot knew about Hex, and that was great because it gave me the entry point into at least discussing, you know, where Pulsechain came from. And but I mean, I was mostly asking, I mean, once they said no to that, and once I educated them on that, it was talking to them a lot about their projects, more like what they see the future of blockchain, what they anticipate their project to do. And most of the time I'd be asking them why crypto, like, you know what I mean? Like, why blockchain, you know, because a lot of these things were like, I mean, for example, on last Saturday, we went to a, this metaverse that has, I mean, like, they handed me, just upon walking into their party, they handed me like a closed box, or they handed me a couple things, a closed box of 200 different trading cards, which is every character in their metaverse. And then they gave me this, then they asked me if I was a certain, like a term like hexakin, but it related to their metaverse. And I was like, I don't think so. I'm like, would I know if I was? And they ended up giving me this, what, oh my gosh, not Da Vinci Code, but when something's locked in a cryptex, they give me like this cryptex, right? And so I had to solve the cryptex, and then having to go on to OpenSea, and you were supposed to actually go down into like their spaceship, which was literally, it was screens all the way around and on the floor and on the ceiling. So it was like an actual digital spaceship, and it was like this escape room with 2D barcodes, and
the holodeck.
Yeah, it was exactly like that, and it had 2 levels. But the thing is, I was able to solve it like before we weren't even supposed to get them, I guess, until after the presentation, and then when we went down into that. But I was able to solve it while sitting there. But inside was like a 2D barcode to an NFT. And a lot of things that I'd ask them is, I'd say, do you know that if they were on Ethereum, I said, do you know that your project is going to be on another chain? And of course the founders would tell me like, no, it's not. And I said, no, it is though. And they're like, no, it's not. Trust me. I'm like, who said that? And I'm like, it's not that anyone said it. It's that it's going to happen. You know, in fact, it already is. If you go check testnet right now, you know, and so
want to know, who's this guy that's telling me this?
Yeah, right. Exactly. And so it was right. They're thinking like, did you talk to my co-founder? And did he say we're going to go on to Polkadot or something? You know what I mean? And it's like, no, you guys actually are already on another testnet. And so, I mean, they were all excited about it. Some of them, like the artists, felt a bit odd, but the people that founded the chains, I think they just looked at it, or that founded the projects, they looked at it as more potential adoption, or more opportunity, you know. So I didn't ask any other really specific questions other than that, you know. I mean, I just geeked out on their specific niches of what they were trying to do.
I just want to like just go back to what you said, because like that is such a great insertion point into that conversation. Did you know that your project is going to be on another chain?
Yeah.
Wow, dude. I mean, that's kind
you
of
should have
like,
seen their faces.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, man. I mean, that blew my mind, man. That's fantastic. Definitely for anyone who's in here who have been looking at bringing this up to other people that you may know in other ecosystems. I mean, like or bringing them into Pulsechain, that's a great onboarding question, from not necessarily, like, we'll call it a sales perspective, but truly, like, that's just a great way to segue into that, like, without there being much resistance.
Yeah, without feeling salesy at all. Like you're literally just
Correct.
asking them a question that has to do with their assets that they own.
And they get benefit at the end of the conversation. That's like the ideal.
Right.
It's
You're not taking
beautiful.
anything from them.
I love that, man. I love that, man. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah, I wrote that one down immediately, man. That's perfect.
Yeah, it's good in Twitter spaces too, right? Like it's if you get a chance to join other people's spaces, it's a good way to ask. It's a good thing to ask. Because again,
Yeah.
people are going to be like, "What?" And then you get the floor.
Yes. Dude, setting yourself up for success. I'm so glad that I had all of you all in here tonight, man. I've myself have learned quite a bit tonight, and I hope that the chat, anyone who's in the chat who may have added or found benefit from this stream, we appreciate you all being here. That's what we're here to do with the Texan Tailgate. We're here to continue to inform others in regards to DeFi projects, specifically within the Richard Hart ecosystem, obviously the Texan, Ophir, and all of our projects that we have been working on in the background. So shout outs to everybody who's here, and I wanted to give each of you the time to say closing piece, anything that you'd like, where you could be found, anything that you want to do. The floor is yours, and I will start off with Mr. Crypto Compassion. Mike's muted, brother.
I really feel like it's impressed upon us to really get your house in order. I mean, I know we've been saying that for years on end now, but I do feel like there's change is imminent and it's upon us. And stay humble, really stay humble, because I know Matt from Crypto Heartbeat talks about that a lot of people are going to be looking at us for a lot of different reasons, and whether it's insight into understanding, or it's because you've been impressed upon with such financial economic energy. So get your house in order and let's roll.
Fantastic.
We going clockwise or counterclockwise?
Yeah, you go right for it, bro.
All right, sounds good. Well, I mean, obviously I just finished sharing, but thank you very much for having me here. I'm a fan of most of these people on the screen, and nice to meet the rest of you that I haven't met yet. Yeah, it's found me on Twitter at Hexiest Man in the World. I do have a YouTube channel. Don't post to it much, but I keep saying, now that I've got it in new space, I'm definitely going to. So that's Network Effects, which is network E/P HEX. It's like a play on EHEX PHEX, but it's impossible to find on YouTube. So unless you spell it properly, but I thought it was clever. So you can find me via those. Twitter's the best way to DM me. Also on Telegram. And yeah, another cool thing that's on Telegram, if anyone has joined the anti-gravity group, it's a pretty cool story that some Mexicans have been working on. So I'll tweet about it later if you guys want to check it out.
Yeah, anti-gravity saga is like low-key an obsession of mine.
It's awesome, dude. It's so cool. Cool Nova.
Robert, what you got, brother?
Just happy to be here, talking about, DeFi, freedom, unchaining the captives, Pulsechain, what that looks like. Just always nice to spend Sunday evenings with just an amazing group of people and share ideas and talk about things that we're all passionate about. And I spend a lot of my time helping out Texan and Ophir, and keeping people up to date on Facebook and other social medias. So, but really appreciate getting to meet everybody and spend time together.
Thank you for sharing that. Immutable, brother.
Yeah. So just want to echo what everyone's been saying. Happy to be here. Happy to be spending the Sunday night talking to you guys. And then I guess what I'd leave you with is, if anyone has any questions at all, like whether they're dumb or whether you think they're dumb questions or not, just please reach out. Like with all of the onboards that I bring in, like I've created a like a 4 or 5 page Word document that takes you step by step, like literally click or literally turn on your computer, literally click, like double click Chrome or whatever you're using, open up MetaMask. And so like all of this for bridging, for swapping, for adding tokens to MetaMask, adding it to Pulsechain, to whatever. So like if you are confused or whatever, don't wreck yourself. Just reach out to either myself or someone else that you trust. So that's all I got.
You made it
Awesome.
DAT proof, didn't you, Steve?
What was that?
You made it DAT proof.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, John, Hexius man, thank you guys for being there. Robert, you're a rock star, and Hexy
Pleasure,
Quinn,
man.
thank you, and Forrest, everyone in chat. Look forward to these Sunday nights and learning and sharing, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Have a great day, great evening, and God bless you and love you all.
Likewise, God bless. Absolutely.
My turn.
Floor is yours. Save the best for last.
Ditto. Bye, guys.
Deuces.
I can't say the same thing over again.
Oh my goodness. Wiser words were never spoken. Ditto times 4. We are times 5 actually. So I wanted to give a shout out everybody in the chat. Thank you for being here for Texan Tailgate. We're getting ready to hop off of here. If you are into all things DeFi, all things crypto, and you want to embolden yourself for this brave new future that we all endeavor to encounter together, please come back, consider subscribing, and we look forward to seeing you all next time. We'll see these lovely folks again, I'm sure. Crypto Compassion, Hexiest man in the world. Thank you both for being here. Everybody on the panel, you know I love you. And everyone have a good night.
God bless.
Bye, guys.
Good night.